Hello everybody, welcome back to Sunday Berries. Today we are going to be doing another tutorial, and this one is one that I have never done before, but I did a sketch last night and I thought that it would be really great if we could get this done together. We are going to jump right in, so I'm going to tell you the materials that you will be needing. You will be needing your watercolor set. I will be using my Agalo, which I haven't swatched for you guys, and I am sorry, I just haven't had the time to do it, but I will because it's a wonderful set. You will also need washi tape or your tape of preference to mask off the corners of your paper or your sketchbook. You will need a sketchbook or watercolor paper. I will be using Arches. For the drawing, you will need a ruler, you will need a pencil, and you will need eraser. This one is a dust-free Faber-Castell, and this one is a kneaded eraser that is also from Faber-Castell. You will need your brushes. I have taken out a ton of brushes. Like I said, I haven't done this before, this particular painting, and I don't know yet what kind of brushes I will need. I will for sure need this size number 3, which is a detail brush, and then maybe 2 additional ones, maybe a size number 8 and a size number 6. I do have this Da Vinci Casaneo number 16, which is a flat brush. I don't think I will be using a flat brush, but I don't know yet, so I'd rather be prepared. The reason why I mention all these brushes is that whatever you have, just get them all and be prepared in order to do this painting, because there will be areas that are going to be larger and there will be areas that will be rather small, so you want a really good variety. I haven't even thought about the colors that I'm going to use, but it is going to be a landscape, so that will tell you that we'll be needing some greens, and from there we'll just experiment a little. Also, get your markers, liners, pencils. I might be using colored pencils. This is the Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer, and these are watercolor pencils, but any type of colored pencils that you have will do. But at least we will be using more than likely the Posca pen white. And I have the black one just in case as well. You can bring out your metallic watercolors for embellishments, and that will be just great as well. I will be giving out my sketch completely free for everyone. So with that said, let's just start with the sketch. there we have it. We have our sketch. I am going to go and scan this for you guys. And you can download it if you feel like you need the extra help, okay? Yeah, that's it. We're not going to add anything else because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And while it looks overwhelming, it's really not. So please do bear that in mind. Maybe we could do another tier here. There we have it. Okay, so maybe we don't need it. Oh my God. No, we need it. We do. Now that I have this sketch already in the computer and I try to clean it up as much as possible, so guys, forgive me. I'm going to start erasing a little bit of these lines. This time around, we're going to be mixing some colors, so I will be giving out the colors as I go, but I will also have them on the screen once I finish the painting because I have no idea what I'm going to use. Okay, so now that we have this ready, we're going to start painting. The first thing that I want to do is wet my paper, and it's not going to be too wet or too loaded. We're just going to damp the paper a little. Try not to damp the areas where the bushes are and try to stay clear from the roofs. I'm using a rather big brush here because it's a lot of space to cover, but where you're close to the roofs, just leave them blank and then come back with a smaller brush to cover those areas. If you do add a lot of water to the paper, don't worry too much about it because we will allow it to dry a little before we come in with our color. So here I come with my detail brush and come in rather close to the roofs, but not completely. Well, pretty much close to that line, really. And of course, I have my companion, Lola, who is snoring away next to me, so I apologize about that. That's already our normal ambience noise. What we want is the paper to glisten. I'm going to get a little bit of cerulean blue and dilute it a lot because we don't want too much color here. Cerulean blue, it's going to be our first color. I want this very, very diluted. And I am going to place it close to the moon and allow it to spread. Because I don't want any harsh lines, I will try to get those harsh lines away from the area where I'm placing the color. If you feel it's too dark, add some water, but make sure that you get everything around the moon and a little bit beyond the moon. See, this is a harsh line. You want to just erase it a little. That's another one that you want to allow to spread out on its own. Now with a detail brush, we're going to define this moon. If it's pulling near the moon, try to bring it out. What we're creating here, or trying to, is to have that moon glow, which we don't want it to be too harsh or anything like that. And we're going to leave it. We are going to leave that alone. Okay, so I am going to mix my indigo, which is from a gallo. I am going to add a little bit of the cerulean blue that we placed over there. We're going to water it down, and we are going to start dropping it in. Possibly our paper is a little bit dry because we waited, but that's okay. We're going to move rather quickly. We're going to come close and we're going to almost allow these two colors to blend, but not really. We're going to be very mindful of the trees in the distance. And careful with the ceilings. Okay. Switch brushes whenever you need to. And because our sky is going to be rather abstract, we can play around with dropping in additional color. I'm going to darken it a little. You don't want the darker color near or too close to the moon, okay? That's pure indigo that I dropped in there. And here, really quick, we're going to try and lift a little bit of this. And now we're going to dry our brush, clean it up, dry it so we can pick up some color from here. And make sure that you're always picking up some color from around the moon. Adding a little bit more of the cerulean blue to keep it a little lighter in certain areas. All right, so we are going to allow this to dry. We're going to give it a chance to dry and see what we get. You can use the power of gravity to keep your colors where you want them too, so that's fine. I don't mind what's going to happen here. So just a reminder, what I mixed was indigo and cerulean blue. They are granulating colors, which suits me really well because we are doing a night sky, and the night sky will look like it has a million stars. So that's pretty good. So that's why there's a lot of water also going on, because they are granulating colors. So we're going to, yeah, we're going to allow it to dry. And if you see that you have something that you need to fix, do it while it's still wet. All right, so we're going to allow it to dry and I will be back. So far, we've used indigo and cerulean blue chromium. The indigo is from Megalo and the cerulean blue chromium from Daniel Smith. Now I'm going to use the green gold, and I'm going to do a very, very, very light wash because we're going to go over this later on. And what we're going to do is paint these back trees. And the reason why we want to do this is because the moon is right there. So there's going to be light on top of these trees. And we're going to take it all the way down to the mountain line, okay? And in some areas where those trees are, this is not going to be the final color for these trees, but what we want to do is warm them up a little. So I'm removing a little bit of it from certain areas so we can highlight. If you need to dab with a tissue, do that. But the color is not going to impede or be in the way of the next color that we're going to add here. So don't worry about it if you can't. Now we're going to move on to this area right here. We are going to add a little bit of water. That's a lot, but we're going to spread it at the bottom of the heel. And here as well. And what we're going to do, I'm going to use green umber from A Gallo, and I am going to drop it here, right at the edge of the trees that are up front. I'm going to clean my brush and just soften it a little bit. We're going to do that again because remember that watercolor will dry at least about 25% lighter than what we put it in. So we need a darker color so when it dries, it doesn't go too light. And we're going to do the same here. This other area is a little bit drier, so I'm going to add a little bit more water so I can spread it out. What we're trying to achieve here is a sense of depth by adding shadows. Let's begin with the shadows in the buildings. Now, the light is coming from the back of the buildings, but I don't want to obscure everything up front. But we do know that this area right here will be darker, this area right here will be darker, and so will this one. Now, this building up here is going to cast shadows towards the back. On this one, this tower is going to cast a shadow here. So let's do that. Let's apply a little bit of a dark color here. Not too dark, please. And we do not want a hard edge. This building right here is going to be mostly in shadow, so let's hope this comes out good. If you see harsh lines, try to go in as soon as possible and clear them out. I know this is looking like a little mess, but bear with me. I promise it'll be fine. Just adding water. There's going to be a shadow there because of the reflected shadow from the building behind it. So don't worry, it's looking really strange, but it's going to really turn out, I promise. I hope. I really, really do hope so. Okay, so we're going to allow that to dry. I am mixing indigo and green earth, and we're going to come here and just give a wash. And now we're going to intensify that color. We're going to start dropping it at the bottom of that tree line. We can add pure indigo as well to intensify that color. And at the same time, we're going to pick up some of the color as well from the treetops. So you clean and then you move up here and remove a little. Clean it again dry the brush, and come back. And then we're going to clean some areas as well, making sure we do a little bit of a tree shape or bush. Maybe there's an easier way to do this. We're going to allow that to dry. So now we're going to go over this with yellow ochre. We can cover the whole thing, including the shadow areas. And adding a lot more color where the shadows are. We could drop in a little bit of that green earth. You can use some raw umber. And we're going to leave it. We're going to remove a little bit from here so it's lighter. So I do know that it's looking strange, but trust me, it's going to look really good when we're done. Now that we're here, I am going to add a little water here, just plain water, because there's a really harsh line there, so I want to intensify the color a little. So I decided to re-wet the whole sky. We're going to darken it a little bit more, but I'm not re-wetting the area of the moon, okay? So I'm just dropping water to create some blooms. All right, we're going to allow this to dry. And I did dab it a little with a dry tissue paper so it's not too close to the moon, because that's what we don't want. There we go. All right, so we're going to allow this to dry now again, and then we're going to continue. This is going to be a long one, my friends. It's going to be long. Okay, so I added a little extra indigo to the line trees because it does give a sense that the landscape continues down. So you can do that. I'm sorry I didn't do it on camera. So now what I want to do is add a little bit of water here, and we are going to use our yellow ochre very lightly. So wherever the light source is coming from, you're going to want to leave it a lot lighter. So this light is hitting this way, but since there is a curve here, we can darken that area a little bit more. But over here, we start getting lighter. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have to have color. It can have color. It's just that it can be a little bit darker here, and then same here. You can have this area a little bit darker and then lighter right there, and then darker over here. So basically you get a darker area on each end and then lighter in the middle. And the same will happen here. So emphasize that there is an end of the road here. The rest is grass, and then lighter towards the other corner. Let me see if I can get perhaps a little bit of the brown here as well. Sorry about the cat. And we are going to add water to this area, and we are going to drop in our color very close to the tree line here, which is the same thing that I did over here. Clean your brush and just soften it a little. So we're going to start with this building over here. We are going to dampen it, the whole thing, just the whole bottom part. This is another ochre. It's called French Ochre Sahara, but I'm going to mix it with the same green umber. If you don't have these colors, you can use raw umber, burnt umber, and it will be more or less the same thing. You could use sepia, you can use any brown that you have. And what we're going to emphasize here are the shadows. this building in particular is very much in shadow because there is a building in front of it. And we're going to soften that edge. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. Don't worry too much about the windows because the windows can be recovered later. Don't be afraid to use a very dark color because this is going to dry a lot later. I think I might have done a little boo-boo here, so I'm going to correct it. And that boo-boo is that that corner was too dark. What I want to do is lighten that center of the building. Because remember, this building is cylindrical. Closest to the edge is going to be the darkest for now. And at the bottom we can darken as well. Now I'm trying to bring in a diagonal of shadow that it's lighter than the corners. So I'm bringing color from the sides towards the front. And that way we have only a little bit of light coming in. However, underneath this, we can easily do this rather pronounced. Now we need to deal with the rooftop. So we're going to add water again. So maybe we should work on this one. So we're going to wet the paper first. We're not going to take it to the line. We're going to allow the light of the moon to be there. I forgot that there is a bush right here, but we can fix that afterwards. It doesn't matter right now. I always have this problem that I go too dark right away, but we're going to continue on and hope for the best. Okay, so at the top here, let's wet. So as you can see here, we're getting hard edges, so we're going to come in and soften them up. We don't want too many hard edges here. Like here, you see those edges? We want them to be invisible. All right, before we start with the middle one, we're going to wait. This area right here is ready to go, so we're going to work with that one. I want to bring in some sap green and mix it in with the indigo. And now we're going to start building our trees. What we're doing here is just doing basic semicircles. Only in some areas too, because we're going to be adding other things to this. So really doesn't have to be super perfect. We just want a few highlights. And building up a little bit of darkness too. So it's just little spots of light. You know what? I changed my mind. Okay, I think that is looking good. And if we lose it all, don't worry about it. Like right now, I am losing all the lights that I was hoping to do, but that's okay. We can gain it back with the Posca pen, so don't worry about it. We're gonna wait. And so you see here, we have another harsh line. So we're going to try to erase that. So here, we are going to come in with the sap green. To that sap green, I want to add a little bit of cobalt. Whoops, that was too much, because I want to cool it down a little. So let's see how that works. Will it work? I should try it first over here. I think I need a little bit of indigo as well. Yeah, a little bit of indigo, which is good. Using indigo for all these colors, it's keeping all the colors harmonized because they have that one color in common. We're going to add our water first. And here we go. And very dark towards the bottom, okay? A lot of pigment. We're going to add a little bit more indigo to that. And I think that's looking good. Now we need to do the same over here on the other side. But first I want to make sure this is completely on the edge. Wet the paper first. Now we drop the color. It's taking shape. As a matter of fact, we can go back there and add a little more color here. So now we are going to wet this area right here of the ceiling. Let me explain something before we go on. I've been changing my mind as I go, so do bear with me with this painting because number one, I haven't practiced it, and number two, it's a big painting. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed or anything like that. Just take it step by step, block by block. Take your time. If you have to do it in different days, just do it. But it's really not that complicated. I have changed my mind about this part here. I will leave it as is, but you can paint it in a solid color because what I'm going to do here in the end, it's not going to matter that we give it texture at this point, okay? So don't worry about that and don't spend too much time on this forest area, okay? So treat it just as we have been treating other areas. Now the shadows, those are important because we're not doing flat buildings. We're doing actual cylindrical buildings. So those are important. I've decided to go with a little French ochre Sahara from a gallo, but you can use any brown. So don't stress out about the colors too much. Now we're going to get to the part that it's going to be interesting because I really don't have this planned out. So, yeah. We are going to use Morlone, which is maroon like purple. You can actually use purple and mute it down. To mute down a purple, let me just take a moment here and get a purple. So if I have, I'm going to create a purple just really quick, okay? So let's say you have this purple. To mute that down, you're going to use a little bit of yellow. Which is going to give you a brown. So this is going to take a little bit of mixing. So we need a little bit more blue. Actually, a lot more blue. Oops. And perhaps a different red. Let's see. Purple. Oh, that's close. And now you can use actually a brown to mute it down as well. And this one just needs a hint of red again. Let's see if we can get that going. More or less this color. Adding a little bit of extra blue, and I think more or less it's that one. Let me add a little bit of brown to this. This is raw umber right here. Yeah, I think if you start with a brown, you might get it faster. Let's see. And I think we have it right there. Let's see if we do or not. This is the one I just mixed. And this is, oops, too dark. Maybe it needs more. So it's not too far apart. Maybe it needs more blue. Oh, there we go. So raw umber, quinacridone rose, and ultramarine blue. So it will give you something quite similar to that. So that's your alternative right there. We did use a little, I added a little bit of yellow. I used Hansa yellow, but with the brown already has the yellow, so it really doesn't need it, okay? And actually, this is a fun color right here because it actually it's a chromatic color, which we're going to use just in case. So I'm going to start with the shadow area. We're going to add a lot more to that. Softening those edges. Drying a little. And with this one, we're going to use the same color. There we have it again. Let me just re-wet this. I really want this ceilings to be red. So after this shadow, I'm going to go with a pyro red for sure. I want something to pop. So yeah, we're doing that. Okay, so we're going back to the green umber or raw umber, whichever one you have. All right, so we're going back to the greens. So this green right here has to be really dark because we have a dark green right here, so it has to be darker. So we can use the same one, but with a lot more indigo. We're keeping this really unified with the indigo. Okay, so let's start here. Actually, we can pre-wet this or not, but if you don't pre-wet this, you're going to have to move really quick. And it's okay if you create blooms. Again, we are going to be doing something to this trees that it's going to be quite different. We need more indigo here. That was pure indigo. And the other. here, I think I would like to add a little bit of that sap green on top of this. It's going to create some blooms, and I'm quite all right with that. And adding as much darkness as possible, even mass tone. Maybe we'll go back to this and do something different but similar to this, because I like what this ended up being. All right, so because this is dry and this is dry, we can work here and there. We're going to work with the sap green, and we're going to add yellow ochre and sap green. And let's just go ahead and wet the paper first, so we don't have to worry about, be careful with this part because it's not dry, okay? Ideally, you will wait. So the reason why I want a lighter color here is because of that moon. That moon is so huge that it should be shining bright and lighting up the night. So even though there's supposed to be a shadow there, but it's really coming down on it, so it's quite all right. Adding a little bit of that darker color, but very little. We'll see how that dries, but we're going to repeat the same process on the other side. Remember, this bottom part is very wet, so you need to be really careful if you're going to work on it while it's still wet. Otherwise, wait until it's super and absolutely dry to work on it. After this one, I'm stopping to allowing this to dry for real. And before we go on to the roofs, when this is dry, we're going to see where we're at in terms of the colors, since watercolors dry so much lighter. I'm going to start with that yellow ochre, which I feel works because that road is also yellow ochre, so it's almost as if we're continuing. This is probably my most ambitious watercolor yet to date. So that was too dark, but we'll work with it. Here we go, that was fixed. Oh my God, this is taking shape. Okay, so before I go to allow this to fully dry, I want to explain what we've done. We are color blocking. We have a sketch, we've done a little bit of shadow work, and then we decided to change our strategy. Well, I decided to change the strategy because it's easier to just color block. So this is going to change very, very soon. And it'll be almost as dark as this one. So we have both areas. We have taken into consideration the light coming from our light source, which would be the moon. The moon is so huge, and we've made the glowing so grand that that glowing has to come down this way. So, for example, here I needed to leave it a little bit darker, I mean, a little bit lighter, but because I'm going to cast shadows from the buildings down here, this will become a lot lighter than the shadow area. So there is still a lot to be done here, but it's looking fairly good. I am really thinking that these roofs have to be red for some reason. So we're going to go with that idea to make it super pop. We darkened this area here on the back, right on the forest line. That seems to add depth to the painting because it feels as if the forest continues on. So what we need to do is darken this area right here, but I need to wait for this area to dry now. And from there, we'll probably have to take it almost as dark as, I think even darker, perhaps, yeah, perhaps even darker. But I will leave some areas of light at the top because that moon is so huge. Now, if you pay close attention here, I've left a line of white, and that's because the light is casting onto this building. So that one is a very important line to leave. If we lose it, we're going to enhance it with Posca pen. So don't worry too much about it here as well, but I lost it, so I'm going to enhance that area with Posca pen. Now, this area right here should be dark because we're looking at the buildings from the back and the light source is coming from this angle. So what is supposed to be the front, it's getting all the light, but here it should be darker. But we are making accommodations to make it seem like there's a second source of light, perhaps some, I don't know, in those medieval times, some burning whatever, you know what I mean. So we'll work with that. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say and explain. That's why I've been working on these shadows here. I still need to work on this one. This one has been untouched. But this building right here, because it's coming towards the front, it's casting shadows towards the back. So that's why this one, it's a little bit darker, and this one is very dark on this side, and it needs to go darker here. We'll see. We'll take it little by little. Now, I need to straighten this a little bit because when I was doing the shadow, it sort of shrunk, but I don't mind. This is fun. This is a fantasy scene, a fantasy world that, I don't know, I just decided to do and worked on the sketch last night. So I thought like, well, that looks good. Let's go for it. So that's why we're doing it. And hopefully you will have some fun doing this one at home. So there is a bush right there that I need to tackle, so I'm going to do that. And I think I am going to do it fairly light. And we're going to give it shape afterwards. But at the very bottom, we're going to give it just, whoops. That's my cat running around. Yeah. That is enough. And yeah, this is okay. So I mentioned that we're using indigo as our unifying color. So all these colors actually do work together because of that indigo that we've been using. So I need to darken this area right here. And then I'm going to come with a bigger brush and just soften that edge right there. Okay, so I see that it has moved over here. I'm going to try to pick it up a little, but it's actually not that bad because we want to do that little shadow there, but I need to wait for that to dry. Let me just pick up this really well. Okay, so that's a little mess right there. So the runnings here are fine with me because that's the shadow that we really wanted. And this happened because I I did not wait for it to dry fully. All right, so over here, we're going to darken a little and then spread it. Spread the love. So let's tackle the buildings. If we lose the windows, it's fine. We can get them back soon enough. So here's that buff titanium that I was telling you about. I'm going to try to incorporate it here. We are going to place water here. And just drop a little raw umber there. Allowing it to touch the other building because the other building, it's in shadows because of um, this other one, so it's fine if it goes over. So I'm dropping now very dark umber, raw umber. What I want to do is just add a little bit of more dark here. So what I'm doing here is darkening that area. I need to darken over here, but I have to wait. And I'm going to darken over here just a tiny bit, and then here. Okay. So we're going to allow this to dry and we'll be back. So we're going to work on the doors. This is Spiral Scarlet and Indigo. Let's go for it. And I think I like that much better. What I'm using here is burnt umber. Now, do I dare do that super red? That's Spiral Scarlet. Let's use a little bit of indigo. And a little more Pyro Scarlet. Okay, let's go for it. We'll never know if we don't do it. Yeah, it works. I think. I think. I'm not sure. But that's where we're going. Okay. I think they need to be really red. Like a mushroom. Okay, let's go for it. Yeah, I think so. So the doors need to be red too. And this is again Pyro Scarlet and indigo. Nope. I'm messing this up. Oof, I messed that up, but we're going to get there. We are going to get there. We're not going to despair. This is green gold. And oh my God, the dreaded part. So we're going to get that green umber or raw umber, depending on what you're using. We're going to make a little wash, and then we are going to do our shadow work, which is coming this way. We're going to darken really next to the buildings, and then stretch it out. Okay, let's wait because we need to work with the roofs and the doors. So we're going to darken a little bit here. And the same over here. A little bit of water. And we're going to drop again more green umber or burnt umber, depending on what you're using. We're dropping our darkest possible in these areas. I'm not sure if this is going to be a good one, but we're trying. All right. So now we just need to reinstate these lines here. Reinstate this line here. And we wait. All right, so this isn't looking how I was hoping it would look, but we're going to soldier on. So what I'm going to do right now is mix a little raw umber with whatever was there and add a little bit of shadow. Hopefully it will end up looking good, but who knows? So we need to work with the doors. I think that perhaps we need to go redder so they can truly stand out. That's exactly what I want for my ceiling, so I don't know. Should we go straight in? Let's see. So we lost the light, but that's fine. At this point, I want those ceilings red. This is indigo. And burnt umber and indigo. And I think we have finished with the watercolor up until a few more things that we need to do. But in the meantime, we're going to start to decorate in the parts that are dry already. With the Posca, we're going to do some leaves, very folk style. So now this is the fun part. You can do this part with Posca pen, with acrylic marker, acrylic ink. So just get creative with your marks. All right, so we are going to work on this moon, just going around the edge. And then we are going to make one little start here. And many little stars up in the sky. Oh, constellation. Okay, so now let me try something with the pencils. If it doesn't work with the pencils, then we move on. Okay. All right. So we're just highlighting some areas, darkening. We're just making little lines. They don't show too much, and that is fine with me because I don't want it too visible. And not everywhere. Maybe this is not the color for it. Yeah, let's do this in Posca with black. Maybe this should be black. You see how I'm changing opinions? Okay, for the doors, we're going to bring down a line right through the center, and this one we're going to do just a little thing there, and semi lines that mimic some sort of wood. Same here. Okay, now the windows. And here we are going to do them small, and I'm changing the sketch already. And then here we are going to have one window. Let's get the white Posca again, and maybe not. Well, I want to give some light here. All right, now we're going to go through here and add the light that we lost. And what we're doing is just different lines, not too many. And for the ceilings, we're going to do and for the major one, we're going to do a semicircle and then a semicircle. A full circle, and one small one here. Maybe another one here. And for this one, we are going to go with many lines. And then all right, and we're going to get the black one. just go under them. Here we're going to do some little lines there. Okay. We're going to do some dots around the castle door. And lines here. And I think we're ready to reveal, so let's go for it. So I was expecting this to be different, but along the way it turned into something else. Let's see. Let me do another window here. And another here. I'll go back to that in a moment because I didn't wait. Just darken here. I'm sorry. I always do this, I know. I seem to be always giving final touches. I am surprised at this, but it's part of it all. Let's darken this a little and here as well. And then come in with a little water. Okay, now I'm really done. I'm really excited that we were able to accomplish this. Oh, I'm not done. Let me do it in white. Okay, now we're really done. I think. I'm going to leave it as is. I am. How it looks better. So finally, it's finished. I am really happy with the result, even though it completely changed from my original sketch and the way I envisioned it. I tend to be very heavy handed with the colors, and I need to work on that. But the more I practice, the better I will be getting. So hopefully it will continue to grow. So the sketch of this fantasy castle in a fantasy land, it's going to be available to all of you completely free in my Ko-Fi page. You are welcome to use the sketch to transfer onto your watercolor paper and create your very own painting of this castle in the woods. All the colors that I've used and what I've mixed, I mentioned, you do not have to follow my same colors. You use whatever you have and make it work for you. This is a piece that took me around 7 hours to finish, but it was 7 hours of fun. And of course, I took breaks and waiting for it to dry, but I was very anxious to continue on with it. I love the way the moon came out because it feels like it's really shining in the sky. I also liked the way the leaves came out here, and I thought I could have done them here as well, but then again I didn't, but maybe in the future I will, or perhaps you can try doing the same leaves over here. Yeah, this is it. It's done. I'm really happy about it, so I hope you are too. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. I will really appreciate it. And if you have friends, share this video with them and let them know that they are welcome in this channel. And hopefully they will enjoy the content that I do. I will really appreciate that as well. And if you're new here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, I hope you take a moment and do so. And with that said, my friends, please remember that the link for the sketch of this painting is going to be included in the description below. And yeah, we're done with the video. So thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video. With that said, my friends, please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Be kind to one another, and I will see you on the next one. Until then, bye.